Hi, this is Brad Anderson with the University of Missouri. This is a follow-up to last year's conference presentation regarding Missouri's State 4-H Council. As a quick recap, State 4-H Council members are the youth ambassadors of Missouri 4-H and the voice of youth to the state organization. Missouri is an interesting state with over 97% of the land classified as rural. 70% of Missourians live on the 2.6% of land that is classified as urban. Despite the population disparities, there is still a lot of disequity regarding representation on the State 4-H Council. With 4 representatives per region and changes in MU extension over time, the bylaws of the State 4-H Council left the St. Louis and Kansas City areas with only 2 representatives each. Despite the fact that the number of youth ages 5 to 18 were greater in those areas than all the other regions combined. Just like many systems act to maintain homeostasis, it was clear that intervention was needed in order to right the ship and get things back on track towards equity and inclusion. This is what happened since that time. Working with the new State 4-H director, Dr. Lupita Fabregas, we made organizational changes to the governing documents that define positions, define procedures, and took away barriers to understanding how the operations proceed. And these barriers included opening up membership to other service delivery modes besides the traditional community clubs. In addition to 4-H clubs, youth on council may come from spin clubs or after-school programs or any other type of 4-H engagement activity. We realize that young people come to this opportunity oftentimes from very monocultural settings, but the new guidelines made it clear that words or actions that denigrate based on race, sex, gender, identity, sexual orientation, or religious affiliation would be disqualifying to State 4-H Council membership status. Rather than being treated as a single region and splitting delegates, the Urban East and Urban West regions would be treated as regions unto themselves, each receiving 4 regional representatives. In addition, those 4 regional representatives in every region would be selected by the faculty of the 4-H organization rather than a popularity contest. The State 4-H Council has been a model of youth-driven decision-making, and it had been years since adult intervention was needed in these processes. In addition, the theory of motivated reasoning tells us that individuals process congenital information with little scrutiny and contrary information with intense scrutiny. We had our work cut out for us. Part of these changes included diversity, equity, and inclusion training by Missouri 4-H faculty when the new State 4-H Council year began. With 2 adult advisors from urban regions and a new State 4-H program leader, we began the process of defining exactly what certain elements of the State 4-H Council culture was going to be. That culture would continue to be co-created by the participating youth, but there were elements of the DNA that included diversity, equity, and inclusion more clearly than ever. In January, we dodged a couple of snowpocalypses and brought in guest speakers for a special State 4-H Council Leadership 3-Day Conference. These leaders included the State 4-H Program Director and 4-H faculty members specializing in cultural competency training. They also included Martin Casas, Organizational Development Manager at Toyota USA, who could speak to cultural competencies and inclusiveness as career assets in the larger world. As youth development specialists, we knew that teens are developmentally wired to prefer their own solutions to those of adults as their brains generate these incredible capacities they've never experienced before. It was incredibly important that they have a voice and be active participants in their own learning for that reason. Two-way communication and relationship building were key in order to make sure that the information being sent was also received and internalized. Finally, we brought in Mr. Bill Cott, an LA-based actor and improv expert who could speak to leadership skills that they probably wouldn't get to develop in this way anywhere else. Bill Cott is great with teens and a phenomenal trainer, and improv offers an excellent tool for training your brain to make decisions in an environment of constant change. We had no idea at the time how much change would be in store, but we did know that leadership was critical if these youth were going to face whatever would come ahead. When processing new information, psychological reactance theory asserts that people work really hard to preserve their freedom of thought and action. Nobody likes being told what to do or how to think, and here we were giving them a whole new paradigm for State 4-H Council membership and leadership. How do you think we did? The team participants were asked to assess their feelings and insights before the conference and after. 82% reported that after the conference and leadership, they felt less nervous about 4-H becoming a more diverse and inclusive organization. Those teens who said they were most nervous about this before the leadership conference actually reported the biggest decreases in their reported anxiety. 75% reported that they gained new ideas from this leadership conference on how they can help their 4-H club or county understand diversity better. 58% increased their rating on how excited they were about being a leader in a more diverse and inclusive 4-H. Just to give credit where credit's due, of those remaining, 3/5 reported that they were already excited about this, and it's probably a sign that some of the earlier measures taken were well received and being accepted. 58% of the respondents said they were more aware of their own strengths and weaknesses in cultural competency after the leadership conference weekend. And 75% said they had new ideas for how they could be part of building a diverse and inclusive 4-H program. When asked how open they were to accepting other people's crazy ideas, half showed positive growth, and an additional 29% said they were already accepting of crazy ideas. 100% reported positive growth and change and their willingness to trust their gut and step forward as a leader. The future looked bright, and we couldn't wait for the remaining meetings. Unfortunately, the world had other plans, and the COVID-19 pandemic shut down face-to-face activities in Missouri 4-H and future meetings of the State 4-H Council. So, the State 4-H Council went online to rally 4-H members and show their support for their fellow youth, keep them engaged, and keep the enthusiasm up. In the end, although the year did not unfold as we expected, the beginnings of a new council culture had started to take root. There's still a lot of work to do, but Missouri 4-H Council members now have a stronger foundation to help set the tone and the culture for the State 4-H Council as youth leaders in Missouri 4-H and help their new members who joined the council this year really adapt and excel and make the best even better. Now a new council has been formed with new leadership in place, and we expect bumps in the road and issues to be resolved, but we look forward to the path ahead as the representatives of our 4-H organization really lead the way in cultural competency, inclusiveness, and finding the answers together. Missouri 4-H is committed to giving them all the tools to do just that, as we prepare them for the future, develop them as human beings and members of our society that shape what tomorrow will bring. Thank you for your interest, and if you have any questions, I can be reached at andersonb@missouri.edu. Enjoy the rest of the conference sessions, and I hope that we can see each other in person next year.